welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm doing one of my rare standard videos, and I'm doing this for a variety of reasons. One, I need content for November 10th. The last few ban announcements, I've tried to release a deck that I was pretty sure was going to be banned that day, and I hit once and missed the other time, but I am high confidence that Vivi Cauldron is going to take a hit today, November 10th, because in an unprecedented announcement, Wizards of the Coast told us over a month in advance that something would be banned out of this deck, and it's just about getting through RCQ season without banning the deck out from under anyone. This will be one last hurrah for Vivi Cauldron in the world. The other reason is I am attending the Spotlight series in Baltimore, which is, I'm recording this October 20th. It's this coming weekend for me. It's a couple weeks in the past by the time you're seeing this, but this is obviously the deck I'm playing. The deck is completely busted by standards, and it's the deck that I'm familiar with. I played 2 RCQs this season. I lost in the finals of one on no reps, then I won the other one after I had some reps. So I'll see you in Milwaukee next year, early next year, for that regional championship. But Spotlight Series coming up. The way that this deck works, not that it matters anymore, is Agatha's Soul Cauldron gives your creatures with +1 counters the abilities of all cards exiled with Soul Cauldron. If you put Vivi under Agatha's Soul Cauldron, your creatures can make mana equal to their power. If you combine that with cards that naturally get +1 counters on them, so you don't have to tap the Cauldron every time, like Marauding Mako, or use Proph's Eidetic Memory to put counters on something, your creatures get very big and tap, or not even tap, but generate a lot of mana very quickly. Proph's Eidetic Memory, also a second engine in this deck. At the beginning of combat, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put X +1 counters on target creature you control. X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn -1. This is very good with cards like Winternight Stories, draw 3 cards, Tercel Light Shatter, draw 2 cards, Quantum Riddler, draw some number of cards, 1, 2, maybe more. Fear of Missing Out, draw a card. And then Fear of Missing Out specifically is really sweet because Proph's triggers at the beginning of combat, and Fear of Missing Out gives you extra combats. One of the backdoor combos of this deck is you just like cast Winternight Stories, go to combat, Fear of Missing Out has 5 power, attack with it, go to second combat, Fear of Missing Out now has 8 power, attack with it again. If you have 2 active FOMOs, it becomes very stupid. And if your opponent brings in a ton of hate for your graveyard, it barely matters because we're still just an Izzet deck with excellent card advantage, powerful combat engines. It's very hard to hate this deck. It's very hard to target this deck with anything specifically. It'll get you in combat. It'll get you in combo. It'll become an Izzet control deck if you let it. Just a crazy, awesome, powerful deck. I really like this deck. It's obviously over the line in the format, but I think the mirror match is really interesting in back and forth, where some broken mirror matches are not. I have not played Standard at this moment since before Spiderman came out, so I was pretty familiar with the Standard metagame. Before that, I don't know how much that's shaken up. I will be paying attention to that. That's the point of this league. Let's do it. I'm on the draw in round 1 with a hand that's very sad. With a red source, this hand is basically the nuts, but I'm not able to cast my cards here, and turn 2 Profs to try to cantrip with nothing else going on is not the upside you want, especially in a game 1. Okay, here we go. I'm going to keep this, and I think I'm going to bottom. It's actually close between Thundering Falls and Island, because your third land matters a lot, but if the Surveil could matter a lot too, especially with the Soul Cauldron in my hand already. I do want to lead on Mako though, so alright, yeah, I'm going to bottom Thundering Falls. I'm fully prepared to play 5 mirror matches in this league. I don't know what the standard leagues are like, but I assume that's what the standard format is like, certainly in the winner's metagame. By the way, shout out Corey Baumeister, friend of the show. This list and the sideboard plans I'll be using come from him. I've been out of touch with Standard, and Corey is very good at being on top of Modern and Standard. For the most part, usually has a good guide for whatever the best deck is, and this is no exception. Oh yeah, that was a great draw. I didn't really want to ram Soul Cauldron into something like Spell Pierce, but I don't mind losing Prof's Memory here. Alright, they've stabbed my Mako, sure. Bummer, I'll have to settle for drawing a card while resolving an engine. Okay. That land coming into play tapped is a big deal, because Breacher of the Schism is a card I'm pretty worried about, but they clearly don't have that one. Okay, I could try to get Soul Cauldron in here. I think I am just going to try to stick it. If it gets countered, that's not ideal, but if it's in play, everything gets better. And I'd rather save Winter Night Stories for when I have something to put the counters on with Prof's Memory. Demo Field, I've got 7 basics in this deck, that's fine. I don't know if they use their graveyard, but I am going to beat it up. Starting Town, right on time, we love it. I could just Starting Town pass here. I could Warp Riddler and just see what happens. But Warping Riddler, you can harmonize Winter Night Stories off of. Okay, I'm getting a little worried about wasting time here. I am going to fire the stories because Riddler can harmonize it next turn. It's a lot more tempting. Okay, I could discard a creature or 2 non-creatures. Or any 2 cards. I could discard a creature and another card if that makes sense to do. I'm going to discard Soul Cauldron and Starting Town. Fear of Missing Out is great. That's a great way to put some juice with my Prof's Memory. Consult the star charts. Okay. That makes me believe this is more of a control deck than a Dimir Tempo kind of deck. The Demolition Field makes me believe that as well. And the fact that they haven't played any cards in its turn 5. Or any creatures. So I believe this is a control deck. All right, they've got a Riddler who is just drawing 1 card. It's okay for now. Strategic Betrayal. Target opponent exiles a creature they control and their graveyard. Okay, so I obviously don't have a creature. Exiling Mako, this doesn't actually do anything. It gives my creatures with +1 counters on them cycling, which doesn't work from the play. Sure, alright, my graveyard's gone. You got it. That did hit the stories, but they've also tapped out, which is potentially the window I was looking for. Can we use it? Vivi off the top. Alright, Fear of Missing Out. How empty can I get here? Land goes down to 4 cards. Fear of Missing Out goes down to 3. Then the loot leaves me at 3. If I Riddler first, it's a potential hit for Vivi. Alright, I'm going to go for Riddler here. If I draw Vivi, we're kind of off. Ooh, okay. That card is pretty good, but not what I'm looking for. Alright, I'm going to loot away the Starting Town, so I will play the Mountain first here. I could have torched my own Quantum Riddler to just, like, cycle it. Go down to 1 card in hand. Get an extra one. I don't know if that actually makes sense, but I just want to acknowledge that the play was there. And this is where Prof's Memory kicks in. Suddenly I have a 4/5, and I'll pass the turn. And we both have a Quantum Riddler and Warp. They've got 4 cards in hand. Am I going to get ground to a halt? Just a Quantum Riddler, which is only good for 1. Duress. Alright, well, this is going to take my Roaring Furnace. But this is very likely to make my Riddler a lot better. End step, exile, Strategic Betrayal from their graveyard, I guess. Alright, big money. Well, this is a draw 2 with Quantum Riddler. I'll take it. Oh, wait, shit. No, this is untapped. It's a draw 1. I needed to torch in the end step if I wanted that. Disappointing. Okay. I guess I blew it. I should attack first because they can't actually block if I have torched the tower up. Yeah, this is way better. At least get my 4 damage through and then make the exact same play. Yep. Cool. Steam Core Scholar, that can get something going. So I lose a point of attack on my FOMO by playing the Riddler second main, but I also actually connect. I'm not going to block here because we've seen cards like Stab that do -2/-2. Deadly Cover-Up. Okay, so this, they can't collect Evidence 6 here, but they can Wrath of God. Sure. Okay, creatures are dead. I have Steam Core Scholar. What is this card? Reveal your hand, you choose an artifact or creature comment. Oh, yikes. Losing my Scholar here is actually devastating. Alright. This conditional suite of discard has hit good cards multiple times in a row. Not bad. I'm going to exile. Oh shit, my mouse slipped. That was supposed to be Devious Cover-Up. Great. Hopefully that doesn't matter too much. Winter Night Stories. Okay. I have Soulstone Sanctuary who can wake up. They can kill it at some point. But if I hit Vivi here, it might not matter. Okay, Winter Night Stories. Come on, creature to play. Oh yeah. Okay, Tursa's going to light him up. I'm going to discard 2 cards. It's going to be Torch and this redundant Cauldron. And then Tursa can actually attack this turn. Steamcore Scholar could hit Vivi, but Tursa has haste, so this is actually a decision to make. Because Tursa discards first, but Scholar draws first. I've drawn 3. I can make it 4. All right, swing for Vivi. Always swing for Vivi. Vivi. We missed. Okay. Instant sorcery or creature with flying, or what I have to discard here. I will discard Soul Cauldron and Marauding Mako. Move to combat, make my Steamcore Scholar enormous. And then I guess pass the turn. Devious Cover-Up. Exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. I'm actually gonna exile. That didn't make sense. They could still collect evidence. I was trying to collect evidence, but they have Quantum Riddler, so I left them with a thing that costs the same amount while not growing my creature. That was a mistake. This is why we do this. The fun part of Devious Cover-Up, though, yeah, okay, or Deadly Cover-Up. This is what I was trying to stop, but there's no Vivi in my graveyard. All right, they exiled my Winter Night Stories. My hand is still pretty good here, and one Winter Night Stories was already in exile. I can still Vivi and Cauldron here. I have 2 more Quantum Riddlers in the deck. Okay, so that was a mistake, but the idea was there, and turned out it just didn't matter what I did, because they had 6 mana to cover up with regardless. A Braid, not exciting to me. Does it matter what order I do these in? I don't think so. I'll play Fear first. I'm going to dump this a Braid. Prof's Memory. I can't utilize that. The second one does matter because it cycles and buffs. But I can do that also by just using Tursa's ability. I gas up Tursa, my haste creature, let it rip. This is going to trigger, and unless I hit Mako, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, sniper mode. Okay, sick. I don't think pushing 1 extra damage here is worth more than controlling my opponent's graveyard, now that I know they care about it. Exile Cover-Up. Play Mako. That was a 1-outer out of 11. Starting Town would have been fine too. I had a land drop. So there were 2 good hits out of 11 there. Okay, Demolition Field, destroying my creature land. Lots of basics in the deck, that's okay. And I might just get that back with Tursa next turn. Loxwain's Scorn, -3/-3, and you gain 2 life, and then this is a reanimate every upkeep if you pay 7 mana into it, but that doesn't work into Soul Cauldron. Oh my god. That's fucked up. Okay, here we go. Riddler with actual additional card draw clause met. Prof's Memory. If I can get back down to 1 card in hand, which I can. This actually is... It's better to do FOMO first, because discarding the Floodmaw will meet Riddler's condition. Draw 2. Mako triggers. I found a Vivi. What fun. But what I'm going to do instead is draw 2 more cards off of Prof's Memory. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hook Quantum Riddler to my veins. Beginning of combat. Tursa is the bigger creature. I'm actually going to put this on Fear of Missing Out. Even though it doesn't attack this turn, if they're holding removal, they have to decide whether they want to save life this turn. Yeah, okay. They long goodbyed one of the attacking creatures for this turn. I'm playing around as much removal as I can. Like, it's going to take me 2 turns to kill them anyway, so why not do it this way? Okay, I found a Vivi. If I can put that to use, that's nice. There are 22 cards left in my deck, which is, I guess, the thing I'm most worried about. All right, so they're just looting here with 3 steps. I'm not actually worried about it. I'm just thinking about how I could conceivably win this game, or lose this game. And I think running out of cards to play it with is the answer. Yeah, they had to spend a turn reloading here. They've done a good job keeping up with me removal for threat so far, but now my stuff is bigger, and Cecil Dark Knight, sure, Death Touch. End of turn. I am going to exile a Riddler to make my Mako bigger. Torch the tower. Okay, GG. That kills Cecil, and they are dead. How far can I stun on them in the interim? Thundering Falls. Don't want a mountain. Torch the tower can bargain away the prof's memory. Oh, how do I want to do this? It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to do the most with in a spot where I don't actually have to do anything. Okay, they're dead. Why not warp out a Riddler, though? Just let them know how super dead they are. Okay, attack with all creatures, fear of missing out on taps. This is an attack for 21, I think. Cool. Okay, so we've got Spell Pierce, Disdainful Stroke. Draconautics Engineer is a haste enabler that can also make your creatures poop out a bunch of dinosaurs. And then I'm just going to cut a bunch of removal here. Torches, Abrades, and a Roaring Furnace. And my deck is largely intact, except the bad cards like those Torch the Towers that rotted in my hand for the entire game are out. We did see a Cecil on the last turn of that game. Deadly Cover-Up is not a card that's in the Kaito decks, the Dimir Tempo decks, which are the more popular Dimir deck. I guess I have to think about Cecil a little bit. Like, what are they doing with that? Is it there to just blunt aggression versus aggro decks? Or is that actually something they're trying to use? I did just cut most of my answers to it. I could enter the Flood Mot or just go over the top of it. I still have one Roaring Furnace. I guess that's enough. Until they show me something else, I'm good to go here. This hand is a little slow and steady, but on the draw versus a deck full of discard effects, I think I'm okay with it. All right, Ghost Vacuum. Wish I had some Abrades in the deck now, but we'll figure it out. Fear of missing out. Leave that on top. My job now is to present threats to my opponent. Intimidation Tactics reveals an artifact or creature. Ha! Got him. I have two of the same artifact that's not even good. All right, one of my Soul Cauldrons is in exile now. Spire Bluff Canal, play Fear of Missing Out that we hit on top of the deck last turn. I'm going to discard a River Pyre Verge. All right, there's Flood Moth. That's the answer to Ghost Vacuum I was looking for. This thing will never have Delirium, though they did forget to use Ghost Vacuum in the end step. All right, well, didn't matter. My stuff is gone. Vivi on ETA. Sure. This card has text when it's not in the graveyard, too. Pass. Normally, playing out Vivi is a fun subgame, because it's like, do I even kill this? It might be better off in play. Or it might be more powerful for my opponent in the graveyard, but right now that is not the case. Though here, if they tap out for a removal spell, I can Flood Maw the Ghost Vacuum in response and then get Soul Cauldron into play with Vivi under it. Spicy little subgame here. Okay, they just untapped, and they know I have Disdainful Stroke. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, that is Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Ping. And I can attack you with a 1/4. The race is on. Let's go. The secret text on Vivi is, it's a creature sometimes. I exiled my Soulstone Sanctuary. This Restless Reef is between Vivi and their life total. They could also Fountain Port to take the same amount of damage every turn. Oh, baby. This is a card I like. I don't know if I want to tap out into Counterspell with it, but I'll attack with Vivi. I can Flood Maw. Okay, long goodbye. I'm going to respond with into the Flood Maw, or I can do this on my turn, right? I'll make a blue. And I'm going to flood the Ghost Vacuum, give you a fish. And now we have to have a second fight over this if they don't want Vivi under the Cauldron. Okay, no second fight occurred. I think I want to play Roaring Furnace to kill their fish. This plays around soft permission, and if they have a hard counter, it's good anyway. All right, fish is dead. And I guess I will pass. I don't have a creature to put into play. I can respond to Ghost Vacuum by exiling Vivi. Stock up. Duress. All right, well, you know that's in there. Disdainful Stroke is gone. Whatever big scary card they've been sandbagging is now live. And I've got a Vivi under my Cauldron, though it's not currently doing anything. The other room, Steaming Sauna, is at the beginning of your end step draw card. I'm about to kick in a draw engine. It'd be sick to just draw Quantum Riddler here and go nuts. No such luck. Unlock Steaming Sauna. Play Spire Bluff Canal, and a turn draw card. All right, here we go. The other half of the deck now kicking in. The sideboard games. This is what they look like. Presumably, they have some way to deal with this Vivi Cauldron. All right, Aclazotz. This makes me discard a card. Or it's when it attacks. Okay, cool. Then I get to Winter Night Stories at least once before that happens. End of turn, start beating up their graveyard. Aclazotz does go to the graveyard, right? When it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped. Okay, so that there is a trigger with which to feed it to Soul Cauldron. I'm just going to exile the highest mana values in their graveyard. Aclazotz is a scary card, though. I only have one answer to it left in my deck. All right, game on, though. Here we fucking go. Marauding Mako. Cast that. And then I'm going to Winter Night Stories, which will trigger the Mako, which will give it the abilities of Vivi. Discard a creature card or 2 cards. I'm going to discard Steam Core Scholar, because then I can Riddler. Yeah, the Ghost Vacuum can beat up my... Yeah, that doesn't matter. I'm going to Warp Quantum Riddler. And then this will draw 2 cards. Then I can cast Fear of Missing Out with Marauding Mako. Okay, and they tap their Ghost Vacuum, which means if another creature ends up in my graveyard this turn, I'm still gaming. Hell yeah. All right, and I found the last out to Ghost Vacuum plus Aclazotz. All right, I'll make 2 red. Red, red. Play Fear of Missing Out. This is why this deck is so fucking stupid, by the way. Loot away Marauding Mako, which grows the first one, and now there's a creature in my graveyard. I can use that creature to put a +1 counter on Fear of Missing Out, who now makes 3 mana, which is enough to cast Prof's Memory plus into the Floodmaw. And the Prof's Memory is going to draw 2. Tersa Light Shatter on top of the deck. Hell yeah, let's keep it going. Why not? Just going to make 3 blue here. Prof's Memory, draw 2. Floodmaw, the Aclazotz. Just buy myself a turn. And then beginning of combat, I'm going to make Marauding Mako the biggest thing you've ever seen in your life. Okay, I suddenly have lethal on board and a draw engine kicking. So they have to Wrath and then redeploy Aclazotz and then start to play this game again. Okay, they did Deadly Cover-Up. They could exile the Fear of Missing Outs from my deck, I suppose. Yep, that is the choice. Doesn't affect my hand. I have Riddler and Warp, Riddler in play, or Riddler in hand. Tersa ready to get hasty. There's now a Mako in the graveyard that I can Soul Cauldron with to jumpstart the Vivi chain. One of their cards is a 5 mana 4/4 that doesn't affect anything on this coming turn cycle. Cecil. All right, sick. When Cecil deals damage, you lose that much life. So it's not a Jackal Pup, it's the opposite. Winter Night Stories, let's go. Okay, I'm gonna... All right, what happens if I Warp Riddler first? Then Tersa draws an extra card. Or does it? Yes, I'll have 2 to... Yeah, okay. Warp Riddler first. I draw a card from that. Land is great. That gives me just more fuel to party with. Tersa is going to discard 1, draw 2. And now my opponent has to think really hard how and when they want to impact my graveyard. This has haste, not menace. Okay. Because Winter Night Stories is involved now. Discard 2 cards. Or there's another Vivi there. If I discard Vivi, how and when they tap Ghost Vacuum becomes very complicated. I think I'd rather just have Vivi in my hand, though. I'm going to discard 2 mountains. And then I will begin combat. I want them to tap their Ghost Vacuum on literally anything, and then I get to go nuts. But this is the subgame. It happens in both the... Oh, they blew it. They blew it so hard. All right, they exiled my Winter Night Stories, which I don't care about. I guess I get all this mana anyway. Yeah, okay, no, that was the right play. Sorry, opponent. You were right the whole time. I forgot that this is just another aspect of the deck anyway. All right, Tersa's not going to attack because I don't want this Death Touch creature to wipe it out. I'm just going to cast the rest of my deck second main. All right, second main. Add X mana. This is 9. So blue, 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 red, 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 blue. I'll start with Vivi. And Vivi, importantly, has its own ability, plus the ability of any Vivis underneath. I'm going to Warp a Riddler, which will draw 2. Or no, it'll draw 3 because I have 2 Riddlers. Yep. There they are. There's Stories. I could Stories multiple times right now. Their hand is Aclazotz and 1 unknown. If I get just Wrathed from here, that's not ideal, but all right. Winter Night Stories, trigger Vivi. I will discard 2 cards. 2 starting towns are gone. Vivi now has 2 counters on it. I can use Agatha's Soul Cauldron to exile Marauding Mako. This could put a counter on Quantum Riddler, and then I can use that for the turn. Just make 5 mana, cast the one that's in exile. Just casting the one that's in exile. This only draws 1, despite having 3 Riddlers. And then I have 2 Vivi activations still up. I'm going to use one of them to cast Prof's Memory, which triggers Vivi again. And I am going to draw a card at the end of this turn as well. I should Winter Night Stories while it still exists. I'll make blue Stories. Tap the Riddler that's going to warp away anyway. That makes Vivi bigger. There are 13 cards left in my deck. I'm going to discard 2 cards, Mountain and Starting Town. And I'm going to pass. So this Cecil actually was a big deal this turn. They went from probably dead to, a wing and a prayer. If they have another Wrath, that buys them time, but I have 2 Riddlers in Warp, plus a hand that kills them also. Remember when they let on turn 1 Ghost Vacuum, and I was like, that's kind of good, but then I did everything I was going to do anyway? This deck is so dumb. I have 12 cards left in my deck to their 42. Strategic Betrayal. I exile a creature and my graveyard. Okay. I think Quantum Riddler is my worst creature. Quantum Riddler does attack with flying, though. I could see Vivi being the argument. Yeah, I have another Vivi in my hand, whatever. Vivi's gone. Thank you for your service. Cecil did not attack. I've untapped with Disdainful Stroke now. River Pyre Verge. Played for turn. I'm going to make a bunch of mana. Okay, Vivi. We'll start there. Scholar. Discard 2 lands. 2 Spirebluff Canals. Prof's Memory. Alright, I have mana floating anyway. Don't have to do that. There's just so much mana in this deck. This triggers Vivi, who now has the abilities of 2 Vivis. Draw a card. 8 cards left in my deck. I have mana floating, so might as well play a Quantum Riddler from Warp. 7 cards left in my deck. We know they're holding Aclazotz, and then there is whatever the last card in their hand is. Have I seen any of my Spell Pierces yet? 1 is gone. Okay, there is 1 Spell Pierce in these last 7 cards in my deck. I can hit something that costs 4 or more, which is Wrath. That's Aclazotz. I could hit something, if I had Spell Pierce, I could hit something that costs exactly 3. All right, I am just going for the win here, putting the memory counters on the creature they can't block. Attack with these 2. Cecil, you lose 2 life when it blocks. Okay, bang. They're at 3. And I'm just going to pass here. Roaring Furnace puts me to 6 cards in my deck. Something's happening. 3 steps to loot, sure. I don't have the Spell Pierce. One of my last 6 cards in my deck is the other Spell Pierce. It would not surprise me to see Aclazotz discarded here. Yep, that one's not helping. Vacuuming my Tursa, you've got it. And I drew my last Vivi. Okay, so I have a haste creature and the ability to put some burn into the game with the Vivi, and they're at 3. And they can't deadly cover up here unless they back it up with a counter spell. All right, they knew about this from turn 1, so I assume they have some sort of plan here, or they're just hoping I forgot I had it. Take 1 from Vivi, and there it is. My opponent's deck with tons of removal, counter spells, main deck graveyard hate, and even more sideboard graveyard hate. We just played 2 games that were not particularly close. This deck's so stupid. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw for round 2. I'm going to keep... This is the aggro Mako curve. Mako into FOMO, trigger Mako, into Tursa, trigger Mako, attack for 1 trillion. While discarding Vivi. Okay, basic Mountain. And burn out Bastronaut 1/1 menace. Start your engines. This creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. At max speed, it has double strike. Okay. Well, mono red is one of the matchups that has emerged in the metagame to specifically engage with Vivi. Let's see if it's good enough. My hand does not have any removal in it, which is not ideal. There's that guy. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they take 1, which is not where I want to be. I'm looking for a Torch the Tower as soon as possible. All right, I take 1 from that. I'm going to play Starting Town while I still can. Fear of missing out. Discards Vivi. Try to set up those high rolls. And I will absolutely trade Mako for Needlekin here if they want to do that. It has first strike during their own turn. This art is crazy, by the way. I have creature in the graveyard. I could put enchantment land there or land sorcery. It will not be trivial to get Delirium for next turn. So they must have some trick here, but I'm still going to block. Just like a shock or something will finish this off, but my job is to absorb damage and try to get trades. Okay, Burst Lightning. Oh, Burst Lightning. Oh, this has Menace. All right, yeah, well, this was just the block then. Deal. Understood. Oh, they get double strike next turn. After combat, unless they bolt me pre-combat. Hey, that's the best card I could draw. I will take it. I have to Torch first. I kill the Needlekin. This saves me a damage, and then I have to take that damage anyway from fear of missing out. I think I have to discard stories here. I really need this island is the problem. Okay. They have a 1/1 with Menace. I'm actually going to park the bus and make them come to me. Now that I'm out from under Needlekin, this game, if it takes a little longer, is good. And they've missed their last land drop, so we know they have at least 3 spells in hand. Lightning Strike, sure. If they're using Lightning Strike to kill my creatures and not me, I will take it. This gets double strike. And I do have Delirium. Another Vivi. Okay, Terse is going to discard Soulstone, Sanctuary, and Vivi. I guess I should play the island, though, to do that. Because then, if I rip a blue or red card, I can play it. Oh, if I discard both, I get Threshold. I don't know if I actually want Threshold here. Do I want to exile cards? Well, there's Mako and Torch. Yeah, I should have thought about that a little bit before playing my land drop, because I could have hit Soulstone Sanctuary. Whatever, it's still happening. Attack for a lot. I will make Tursa attack twice because that one's bigger. Yo, I hit the Torch. Ding, 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 ding. All right, kill your creature. And, oh, that goes back in the graveyard? This isn't even like... Wow, all right. I actually should have waited until second combat to Torch then, because now I'm going to exile a card for no reason. Yeah, I just assumed that was flashback. This is why we practice. I don't play this format. What do you want from me? All right, now I'm going to exile a card for no reason. So now Fear of Missing Out is in exile when it didn't have to be. But okay. Noted. Noted. I've learned an interaction. I'm at 12 versus 4 cards in hand, max speed, and only 2 lands. We know 3 of those cards are spells still, plus the one they just drew this turn, which might be a spell, might be a land. Lightning striking my Fear. Great. Deal. Now Terse is actually just a big sick mama. I'm going to attack with Tursa and just cast whatever it exiles. Except that one. Son of a biscuit. That was the one that didn't work. Alright, I guess I will Warp Riddler now. Holding a Braid is nice. If this hits Soul Cauldron, we're cooking. Okay, cool. When can I cast this? Until end of turn? Alright, well, we missed. There was a stories there. I'm playing so bad. This is why we get this out. I'm also playing like shit and it doesn't matter. We're still just roasting. Yeah, I had the Riddler who could have... I guess that puts down a Braid. I'm not going to pretend I did it on purpose. Okay. It is a thought, but it's not a thought I actually had. Hey, we bring in a bunch of additional removal here. And ironically, Corey's sideboard plan has me cutting the cards that just won the game for me. That's because game 1s are different than game 2s, and meeting them in combat where they are. Like, I had the most aggressive statted up creature draw that X capable of in game 1 just there. But now that I know what they're on, and they can just like Burst Lightning and Shock and Lightning Strike my Marauding Mako, then it's not really a reliable object, and I'm bringing in a bunch of stuff that stops what they're actually doing. Let's do it. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, this is actually close. I have the pieces I like, but this does not interact with what they're doing at all. I think this is actually a mulligan. It's interesting. I'm going to try it because being able to Cauldron on 2 and then Vivi on 3 and then just kind of dare them to kill it. If they kill it, they better exile it or else they get roasted on the following turn. It might just be too late for me by then, but we'll see. A rock face village. This can only cast creatures. Creature confirmed. Thundering Falls. That was the second best draw after Torch the Tower. Fear of missing out. I like that one. We've got a whole plan now. Magebane Lizard. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, deals damage to them equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. Powerful card. That's why Unable to Scream is in the deck. Now I have to actually decide to invest the Soul Cauldron and try to rip off with Vivi next turn or play the Fear of Missing Out. And in this one as Menace, this is a 1/4. It's not even a meaningful combat object right now. And hopefully all the spells I cast next turn will be creatures. Hired Claw. Whenever you attack with one or more lizards. Lizard confirmed. Okay, and they're giving this haste. So this does tap them out, but it is a lot of damage. I take 1 from the attack trigger and then 4 from actual combat. And importantly, this attack trigger will give them max speed into double strike before combat damage next turn. All right, this is it. Big turn to draw a big hit. That's a moderate hit, I would say. Okay, Fear of Missing Out, discarding Vivi is how this turn is starting. Discard Vivi. Thundering Falls. Okay, I can put the counter on Fear, which makes it bigger than Lightning Strike moving forward. It's an important threshold. I can cast this Vivi with this mana and then torch Hired Claw and buff Vivi. Blue, red, red. And then this Vivi will be good for 2 mana, which can warp Quantum Riddler. That's so sick. Yeah, I think I'm worried about Hired Claw here the most. This one can get bigger. Okay, I take 1 damage because despite casting all the things I've cast this turn, it was only 1 non-creature spell. And then I'm going to add a blue and then another blue. Warp Quantum Riddler. And Prof's Memory is in my hand. Okay, pretty good turn. Pass. I have 2 X4 creatures in play right now. If they can blow up my Cauldron, that's okay. If they can kill one of my creatures, that's okay. Screaming Nemesis. When this creature is dealt damage, it deals damage to any other target. Okay, so if I block with Vivi, they can kill Vivi. If I block with FOMO, they can kill FOMO. They could do 1 to me, and then I can't gain life, but that's not a thing I care about. I'm just going to block with my 1/4 that I don't actually care if it dies. I almost prefer if it dies. Yeah, so I take 1 this turn instead of 3. This doesn't have an exile clause. Okay, yeah. Cool. Screaming Nemesis just put Vivi in my graveyard, which is the place I desire it to be. Okay. Play Basic Island. What order do I want to do this in? I think I want to cast Quantum Riddler first. Make 3 mana there. Cast Riddler, because I want to put Vivi onto this, or the counter from Vivi onto this. Exile Vivi. Now all of these can activate twice. We're by Vivi in it. Okay, this one, do I want my combat item to be out of things? Because this is the one I want to buff this turn. I will start with Quantum Riddler. I'm going to spend all this mana pre-combat. Steam Core Scholar. Again, not a non-creature spell. Draw 2, discard 2 cards. I'm going to go with Soul Cauldron to build Delirium and this Mountain. Now when I play Prof's Memory, it's a draw 2. This does deal 1 to me, but I'll take it. Oh wait, no, I'm short. Do I want to torch this thing? I could respond to the Prof's trigger to torch Screaming Nemesis, but that damage can come back my way. Alright, yeah, I'll just kill this goblin and take 2 damage from Magebane Lizard. Worth it for the draw 2. I do not have Delirium. Fear of Missing Out would not get me Delirium, but it will draw 2 cards. Okay, I'm going to use the little one now. Red, red, blue. red on FOMO, discard Mountain, draw 2. I think I'd rather discard Thundering Falls, actually. Hey, Unable to Scream. That's one of the cards I like. I think I still have a Riddler second main, so I'll warp this Riddler with my floating mana. Or should I just cast this with my actual mana? I take 3 if I play Unable to Scream. I could also put my prof's counters on something else. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to make 5 here. Play this Quantum Riddler from my hand. Old school style. This draws 1 card. A Braid. Alright, these are good cards. Okay, I am not going to play this Unable to Scream. I don't want to go into burn range. Hold on. If I braid this now, I'm actually just in a lot of trouble. Okay. Begin combat. Put the counters on... I don't actually need this mana, though, is the problem. I think I'd rather just deal more damage. Okay. If they block with Magebane Lizard, they're in trouble. And if I had gotten Delirium this turn, they'd be dead. Okay, they're just conceding anyway. Sweet. Wow, tough matchup. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3. Tasty little keep. I'm in. Got a Marauding Mako. I've got a Vivi. Deck full of looters. I'm flush with removal, if that's what this matchup's about. If it's not, a little awkward, but okay. Cecil. Okay. That is not one I can remove on turn 1, but I have a couple ways to challenge it on turn 2. Spire Bluff Canal, Marauding Mako. Get in there. They got the cool Robot Island. All right, we both take 2. Deal. Can't Kaito me till next turn, but they can start holding up all sorts of stuff. If they have a Deep Cavern Bat, I have 2 ways to remove Cecil, so it doesn't really matter. My goodness. A Deep Cavern Bat. My guess is it'll take Roaring Furnace, because that's my better removal spell. Unless they want to take a Braid, so I have to use a Braid to get Furnace back, and then they can stick something like the Priest of the Schism. Okay, am I worried about Cecil? Or do I start working my way through Deep Cavern Bat? I could just attack. And if they trade, they have nothing going on. They starting town, and I'll attack. I don't mind taking the control posture if that's the hand I'm given. Okay, no control posture to be given. I do feel like this, though. All right, I'm just going to torch the bat, actually. This makes my mana play awkwardly, but if they're trying to bait me into playing Roaring Furnace because they have Kaito or Preacher. I said Priest of the Schism earlier. That's not what that card's called. Preacher of the Schism. Then I want my good removal spell to be used. All right, yeah, here we go. Kaito, sniff that one out. It's not rocket surgery, but I do feel good for doing it. Oh, this is target creature. Never mind. Still feel good about it. Hey, Winter Night Stories can buff Mako and put damage on Kaito. Ooh, double Mako. Interesting. Oh, I know they have Cecil in hand. I could go Mako plus hold up a Braid. I could just play out Vivi. And then next turn might be really interesting. Yeah, this one does not hit Bladeswalkers. They knew what they were doing. Okay, so invest Vivi, or I could Stories and attack Kaito for 2 and have a Mako ready. I think that's better. This invest Vivi in the graveyard. This is a lot of looks at Soul Cauldron. Discard 1 creature card, and it will be Vivi or an ETA. Attack Kaito. They surveilled away a Preacher of the Schism. That's probably because they know I have the Furnace. Kaito can't stun this turn, and if it surveils, it leaves itself in danger to a combat death. They know I have 2 removal spells. So we might see a plus here, or they might just decide time to cash it in for cards. Cash for cards it is. Multiversal Passage. Are we going to take damage for that one? Yeah, maybe. What order does this happen? All right, there we go. They're at 13. What's the 4-drop? Yeah, the double surveil. So they kept, or no, they surveilled away both, and then they surveilled away both again. Enduring Curiosity is a card that makes sense for them to have here. I have Floodmaw and a Braid for that one that leave them with nothing really going on. I could fear of missing out pre-combat. I think I am going to do this. This makes Mako bigger. And if I spike Soul Cauldron, we're in business. Hit another Vivi. Okay. All right, well, I will attack Kaito and see what happens here. I don't love a removal spell. Flood Pit's Doctor Owner. Okay. My doctor's been owned. There's no attacks here. I'm going to Abrade because I don't want to lose my creature just for free. If this gets Spell Pierced, I don't love it, but this is the play I have. End step. Black in the pool. Bitter Triumph. Taking the life. All right, the race is on. Cecil, 4 unknowns in hand. 3 unknowns in hand. And this game's really interesting because on the play, I just win easily. I have 3 removal spells versus their 2 creatures, and then Kaito's never in play. However, they got to go first, so that's magic. But it's still close. I still have a handful of removal spells. They saw me cast a Braid. They didn't know I had 2. They knew I had 1. All right, Bat. I can kill Bat to free the other removal spell no matter what they take here. I will have exactly 3 cards left to Roaring Furnace, a Cecil. They took the Abrade. They played a tapped land already this turn. Ooh, Furnace. The refurnacing. All right, Roaring Furnace. Kill Deep Cavern Bat, which frees Abrade. And I can give them a fish to bounce Kaito right now. Yeah, I don't think this is damage I want to take. Wait, nope. Cancel. Hold the fucking phone. That doesn't make any sense at all because the fish ninjutsus the Kaito right back in. If I had 1 more mana to Abrade the fish, I would consider it, but no, we're not doing that. All right, I mean, this Kaito has done, 12 damage so far? Opponent's in there. Something's happening in the end step. Bitter Triumph. Discarding Cecil. Okay, so I don't know about Cecil anymore. Pass the turn. They have 7 damage on board, but I can Floodmaw Restless Reef without giving them a fish once it activates. That's not the plan. I wish that was the plan. That's an easier plan to manage than whatever else is going on here. Okay, they dumped a swamp, drew a card. Deep Cavern Bat. I will Abrade this in response, because that's the sequence that gives me my cards and my mana on my turn. They get to look at my hand, and then know if they've won or not, pretty much. Watery Grave from hand, down to 8 life, leaving 4 mana up. That's so scary. All right, I guess I'm just casting Vivi here and passing the turn. If they add another creature, Floodmaw makes Vivi 1/4. During Curiosity, okay. That can be targeted with Into the Floodmaw. I'm not going to do it yet, though I did just play into Spell Pierce. They've got a lot of creature lands over there. Oof! All right, well, I think I'm dead regardless here. Yeah, they can just fire up Restless Reef. All right, GG. Yeah, on the play, using every card in their hand and drawing 2 cards a turn with Kaito every start of the game, and they are exactly over the finish line at the end here. Good shit. GG. Okay, now on the draw, or on the play with the sideboard, I'm going to bring in cards that are better against, actually remove their stuff. Fire Magic goes a little wide. Pretty light. As we saw that game, that was really close despite my opponent doing everything they needed to do on every turn of the entire game. And just a little bit extra to break that up. On the play, let's go. Hand is aggressive. I like it. This is that Mako FOMO Tursa curve out. It bins a Vivi, which is where I want it. Yeah, I think that last game, if I hit a Soul Cauldron, I also just take over on the spot because I had Vivi and creatures in play. Vivi in the graveyard and creatures in play for basically the whole game. Spire, Bluff, Canal. These work on the same turn, and this one doesn't hurt me, so I will play Fear of Missing Out. Dumping a Vivi. Quantum Rizzler. Cecil, big enough to hold the fort here for now. Multiversal Passage. Super cool card from Spiderman. We love lands that help you play the game. All right, would I rather Mako or FOMO die here? I lose my graveyard regardless. Mako gets bigger. faster. They both are pricked by Cecil. I think I would actually rather have Mako here. That's better if I hit a Soul Cauldron, and if they attack and try to race, it hits back harder. Opponent's at 14. Cecil will flip next turn if I'm not careful. A starting town. Yeah, this is a 4/4 lifelink on the back. I think I'm going to play Tursa, and then I might not actually attack. Tursa definitely discards Vivi. I think I'm going to discard Profs as well. For maximum stats, maximum looks at Soul Cauldron, which I did hit. Do I care about a 4/4 lifelink? If I bash my opponent for 7 right now, they go to 5, and then I have Soul Cauldron shit going on next turn? Let's find out. Opponent's at 7. Having Shocklands in the deck that's trying to flip Cecil anyway is pretty cool. And Kaitoing me here might be worse than leaving Cecil in play. There it is. I'm at 16, you're at 5, you have a 4/4 lifelink. If they have another Strategic Betrayal, I'm in a lot of trouble. I left up some mana. Island, Cauldron. We're about to find out, based on what their interaction is, if this turn is going crazy or just medium. Yeah, Tishana's Tidebinder. That's one of the good ones. Yeah, I guess versus Tidebinder, I am supposed to just leave up Cauldron and pass and burn off their magic. Or burn off their mana. Yeah, burn off their magic. That's how it works. Fire magic is awesome because that, I think they have to trade off here. They can't go to 1. All right, yeah. Attack with Mako here. I'll trade with Cecil. I'm so close to turning the corner with the Soul Cauldron. Fire magic kills Tishana, which unlocks the thing. Vivi's still in the graveyard. Wow, they went to 1. Baller shit. All right, the race is on. So if I take 7 here, this makes Tidebinder indestructible, so I'm definitely not blocking. They're about to go to 5 life. They're just dead on the combat backswing, so they have 2 problems to solve right now. I think they kind of have to play like Tidebinder is gonna be good enough. Mako also did something really interesting last turn, which is Agatha Soul Cauldron has 2 triggers. An activated ability that causes a triggered ability, and you can counter either. Sometimes it's better to counter the place a counter ability, because then Vivi's exiled. Sometimes it's better to do this, because I would have had briefly 4 mana to play. And look at this shit. All right, Fire Magic deals 2 to each creature. That kills all their stuff and none of my stuff. And if they have a counterspell for this, I'll play the other Cauldron, and then just whip Quantum Riddler out and smoke their life. Sick. Okay. So I just attack here because they're dead. If they have Tishana's Tidebinder here and I Cauldron before combat, then they have a blocker and they can stop my combo. Right now they have to decide, like, if they're going to chump, or even if they play a removal spell, if they do anything here. Yeah, okay, perfect. So this comes in, has no ability, no stats, no ladies, no Riz. They have to block Mako or they die. Does have 2 damage on it anyway. Got me there. All right, Vivi. Exile that one. Put a counter on Tursa. That will be enough to cast Quantum Riddler second main. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Riddler is in. Big enough to tangle with Cecil. Cool. And just knowing what cards exist helped navigate that turn in a way that was less devastating. Mapping onto Cecil, hit Watery Grave. That would have been a big counter to hit. Watery Grave cannot enter untapped here until after combat. All right, trying to map again. 5/5 lifelink is enough to party. And they hit Carsey Revenant. That does stuff from the graveyard, but not until they have 3 mana, which they don't right now. Kept it in hand. All right, I also have Agatha's Soul Cauldron in play. Other attacking creatures. I'm going to block. There are cards like Stab in the format that could make this combat go poorly for me, but I think the game is worse if I'm at 4. Deep Cavern Bat. This will take my Roaring Furnace, and then we'll see what the top of my deck looks like. That almost turned on Quantum Riddler. That would have been so nice. Ooh, Marauding Mako. Okay, I can cycle that for a redraw. I will do that with Tursa mana. Red, red, blue, blue. Oh, wait. Hold on. Look at this busted interaction. Cycle to draw 2 cards. We're figuring it out, one way or another. Another Rizzler and Steam Core Scholar. Yikes. All right, I have mana floating. Might as well warp Riddler. Very likely I cast my deck this turn. This is only good for 1 card. Steam Core Scholar. I can play this other Soul Cauldron, Legend Rule it out to draw 2 extra cards off Steam Core Scholar. That's got to be worth it. Okay. Soul Cauldron, exile, Tishana's Tidebinder. Put counters on a Riddler that can attack. Then play other Soul Cauldron. I will make mana with this. Play this Soul Cauldron. Keep the original one. And then Steam Core Scholar, draw 4, discard 1. Here we go. Apply my replacement effects. There's Prof's Memory. And I already had a haste creature. That one doesn't matter. I will discard Thundering Falls and Agatha's Soul Cauldron. If I play Tersa, Legend Rule it, keeping the original, I will draw another 3 cards here. That sounds good. Keep the one with counters on it. I'm going to discard Soulstone Sanctuary. I want the Profs. Discard 1, draw 3. Fear of missing out. The Prof's Memory will be worth a bunch of mana second main. Okay, yeah. Good shit. This deck is so fun. I don't think I'm changing anything on the player or the draw. I have my cool interactions in. Tishana's Tidebinder is the card to pay attention to. Let's do it. This hand is a little clunky. Thundering Falls helps smooth me out a little bit, and I have the first Abrade. I'm going to keep this, though. I recognize it needs some action. Duress. All right, well, Abrade's gone. Mostly played around Duress by not having spells in my hand. Fire Magic, that's a good one to have suddenly after they just saw my hand. Steam Core Scholar. This deck has so much looting in it that I'm just generally pretty comfortable believing that it'll provide me with cards to play with. Oh no, my bat. Now they have to take Fire Magic with that, though it is a good card to take. I'm sure they would have liked to take FOMO. Oh wow, they did anyway. Cool. All right, Steam Core Scholar is on top. I don't want this bat to turn on Kaito, so unfortunately, I have to take my medicine and just Fire Magic for 1 here. But they valued making me play off curve rather than keeping their own curve intact. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, just that it's notable. Preacher, Big Skizzy. They have less life than me, which means they would make a vampire. Ooh, Vivi. They have the Strategic Betrayal in their deck, the card that is very annoying to me. My mana's really good. I don't know if I need Spire Bluff Canal. Like, this is the last turn I can play it, but I could also just play Soulstone Sanctuary and loot this away. I am going to lean on Soulstone Sanctuary and get this flying creature into play. Discard Spire Bluff Canal and Vivi. Finding the second Vivi while still having FOMO in hand is kind of exciting, because now even if I get betrayed, I still have another send. I don't have a Cauldron though, and I am behind this Preacher. I am pretty stoked that because of their mana base, they're only getting vampires here and not drawing cards. I can deal with 1/1 lifelinks. I cannot deal with a blue-black opponent who draws 2 cards a turn. Leaving up mana, so they know about Fear of Missing Out and have left up mana. This could be a null, it could be Fairy Mastermind, could be a lot of things, but this is the spell I have, so I'm going to play it. Tishana's Tidebinder, sure. It could be that as well. This is still a 2/3 body. And Flying Vig, 2 damage, get it in. This means they have to make another vampire next turn, and they still don't get to draw extra cards. My Sheriff! It's literally a detective. Defined Sheriff. Canonical Sheriff. Or at least a cop. Cop adjacent. Bitter Triumph taking the beats. Alright. They are saying, I'm going in. And they have a lot of damage here with which to go in, so probably a good call. Come on, spell, some spell. Fear of Missing Out. Always happy with that one. Fear of Missing Out. Discard Spire Bluff Canal. Steam Core Scholar. Interesting. I draw 2, discard 2, unless I discard a creature with flying. Or instant sorcery creature with flying. That is a pretty good range of things. I could also just put this Vivi into play as a Vivi. And Scholar next turn. Scholar actually kills these vampires in combat, though, where Vivi does not. Alright. Scholar, you're after it. This would be a great time to only discard 1 to a Scholar, though. Okay. I think I'm actually going to discard a Braid to keep 2 cards. The Braid doesn't kill the thing I'm worried about, which is the Preacher. And having more cards in hand makes my other looters in my deck better. I do have Delirium. I gotta navigate that. And having actual Vivi in hand makes something like ripping a Winter Night Stories more exciting. Preacher having Death Touch really annoying, so double block's not really on the table. They will draw an extra card if they attack this turn. They have more life than me. Opponent thought for a long time before whatever play they're about to make. Ooh, Hardcast Kaito, probably going to stun FOMO. Oh, stunned the... Okay, the creature that kills Kaito on the backswing makes sense. So you draw a card. I would take 5 here. FOMO is active. This play keeps Kaito alive, but barely. All right, I'll take my damage. And the way stun counters work is that if the creature would untap, you remove the stun counter instead, which means FOMO does not untap Steam Core Scholar. But I do have another creature in play. It's been there the whole time. Okay, I'm going to attack Kaito with both of these creatures. Attack Kaito. Attack Kaito. And Soulstone Sanctuary has Vig anyway, so I will target Fear of Missing Out. And now they can decide when they want to lose Kaito, because it is happening, unless they have a 1-mana removal spell in their hand, and cut down, rotate it out. Okay, they let Kaito just die. I'll take it. Second combat, attack with Soulstone Sanctuary only, because I want the blocker. Life total getting thin over here. And pass the turn. FOMO doing FOMO stuff. This Vivi rotting in my hand. We're a really bad Vivi deck. We're a good Agatha Soul Cauldron deck. Is the sad reality here. Everybody coming in. So you lose a life there. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is a block that leaves me not dead to Kaito. Block, block. All right. I have to lose Fear of Missing Out no matter what here. If they Kaito up the token, all right, that is also a good one to have. They draw 2 cards. I need something really good here. Okay, Vivi's removed. I basically need Winter Night Stories, and I need it to hit Soul Cauldron. That's my out here. Rotting Mako. All right, well, cycle that one. Stories, stories, stories. Fear of Missing Out. Technically gets another look. Oh, wait, hold on, hold on, hold on. I can do better. Fear of Missing Out, you don't have to discard to draw. This is just free cards if you're Hellbent. Oh my god. All right, I think this is too late. This is 1 item too late. All right, yep. Came 1 too late and also didn't find what I was looking for anyway, but GG's. So very close match. We all won the games where we were on the play. Preacher of the Schism and Kaito are the important cards in this matchup. Game 1, they stuck Kaito for the whole game. Game 2, they stuck Preacher for the whole game. And that is how that matchup goes. On to the next round. GG's. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the draw in round 4 with another Mako Curve. I'm in. Always in. I played a version of this deck that did not have Makos in it when I won my RCQ. The reason was that Mako, it's a card you board out a lot, and if you're just expecting mono mirror matches all day, it would make sense to have less than you could in the main deck. And Dom Harvey had a list posted where he had 0. And that was just pretty exciting. Okay, so this was actually my preview card for Tarkir Dragonstorm that was released on this channel the first time anyone ever saw it in the world. Can't be countered, trample, whenever a creature you control or spell you control becomes target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, draw a card. Pretty good stuff. That means this Abrade is not free money. But what I am going to do is invest in Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I'm simply going to put this in the bank, and I have Winternight Stories and Tursa and FOMO to loot as this game progresses. And what I'm going to try to do next turn, I believe, is just Winternight Stories to spike a Vivi. Keen-Eye Curator. All right, that makes this game harder. I can Abrade that, though. Gene Pollinator. Taps for mana. I have heard about this mono green deck. It has put me under the gun pretty quickly, no doubt about that. Steam Core Scholar, okay. This just became a little more complicated because of the Keen-Eyed Curator. This can activate more than once in a turn. If I play Tursa here, it's not going to do what I want. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do this turn is just hold up Abrade on Keen-Eyed Curator. Or do I Abrade it now? In Spell Pierce, there are various green protect target creature things in the format. Would I rather do that in their upkeep? When do I want to do that? Maybe in the end step, though I'd have to do it in combat because I don't want to take 3 from this thing either. All right, I'm just going to pass. Maybe they'll tap out for some dumb shit. That doesn't matter. And then I can find a hole to wiggle through. Spyglass Siren. Okay. There's that one. If they map onto Curator, I will zap it in response. Willow Rush Verge in the hand. That's their land drop. I definitely should have done it on my turn, because now Giant Growth just cooks me. Okay, so they left it out, so they don't have a pump spell. All right, Abrade, target this raccoon. Hope for the best. They get to draw a card. Their thing died. All right, I will put a counter on Mako then. And time to draw Vivi and win the game. Steam Core Scholar impacts the board, which I do think I need to do here, even though the other one sees more cards. Our Quantum Riddler is a creature with flying. I think I would like to keep as many cards as possible. Discard Riddler. That makes Mako 3/3. Scholar can become 3/3. I did hit a land drop. Okay, I will pass the turn, and we will take another spin next turn. Azure Beastbinder. When this creature attacks up to one target artifact, creature, or planeswalker an opponent controls, loses all abilities till next turn. If it's a creature, it also is base power toughness 2/2. All right, Sirach is attacking. And I'll give my Mako to that. I got stuff going on here. As long as I'm not taking damage, we can figure this out. Exile Sirach to put a counter on Steam Core Scholar. Big draws. River Pyre Verge. I can discard. I could Stories first to see more cards. I could Tursa to impact the board more. This Azure Beastbinder can't be blocked by creature with power 2 or greater, which is all of the creatures that I could ever have. Yeah, I think I want to lead on Stories here. I could still FOMO after that. Okay. Stories first. Big whiff. Discard 2 cards. 2 Soul Cauldron's going to go away here. So, Prof's Memory. We found the back door. I might just beat them to death with this gigantic creature. 7/7. Attack. And I don't need to buff this, so I will pass the turn. I do have the activated ability of Keen-Eyed Curator, in case that matters. They got 2 cards in hand. Azure Beastbinder could turn off Soul Cauldron, which is actually really powerful. Or it could knock flying off of my Scholar and push more damage. Okay. They went for pushing damage. I take 2 here. And this thing becomes base power toughness 2/2, but it does have 2 power. Or it does have 5+1 counters on it, so it's the same size. I do not need this Quantum Riddler in my graveyard. Might as well make my creature bigger. That does not impact my Delirium or anything else I'm trying to do. Torch the Tower. That can kill Beastbinder, and it's sick because I can bargain away the Prof's Memory, which I'm about to Legend Rule anyway. Cool. Not bad. Fear of Missing Out. Do I want that on the top or bottom? I could just play 2 FOMOs this turn and put them in check. I'll scry that to the top. Who needs Vivi anyway? This does not have Vigilance right now. Does that matter? I would take 1 in combat or kill one of their mana dorks. That do not seem to be that important right now. Okay. I'm going to play Fear of Missing Out and see if it resolves. We'll do that first. Discard Soul Cauldron. I think I would rather have this flying blocker back than deal extra damage right now. All right. Oh, they scooped the whole match. Yeah, mad about Vivi Cauldron. I don't blame you, opponent. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. No red. I can cycle this Mako. Winter Night Stories does discard this Vivi. I'm going to mulligan. I'm just going to try to push the deck doing the busted thing, because that's what it's built to do. Okay, I'm going to bottom Riddler here. Riddler versus Roaring Furnace or Abrade. Like, do I want 2 removal spells? Or do I want 1 cantrip that also works with stories? I think I'm actually going to bottom Abrade here, which this evens out the range of what my hand could be good in. Uh-oh, it's the mirror. I wish I had Abrade over this Roaring Furnace for sure. Okay, first mirror match appearance. And we're on the draw. Don't love it. I will summon this Mako. And we'll see how quickly this devolves into garbage. The game ones, I actually think this mirror match is really interesting and dynamic, especially after board. But the game ones can just be a trash pile of, I did my thing and you didn't. Okay, they have Prof's Memory. My Furnace will finish this thing off. Okay, Roaring Furnace. I pick that off, attack for 1. That's one part of 1 engine answered. We will see right now if they have one of the big 3-mana looters and if it discards Vivi. Though, in this matchup, you have to be really careful when you discard Vivi, because if you discard Vivi and then I exile it with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, I am now comboing you off with your own enabler. So it's completely different heuristics, where every other matchup you basically just want to dump Vivi as soon as you can. All right, they have the first Cauldron. That matters, of course. Okay, I could Stories here, or I could Mako plus Riddler here. I'm thinking I'm going to Mako plus Riddler. I'm going to attack first, though, because I'm not discarding cards. This Mako's not going to get any bigger. But right now, if they have Torch to Tower, they have to think about whether they want to take 1 damage, which probably doesn't matter, versus I resolve something important second main. I'll warp out this Riddler. Only draws 1, unfortunately. But depending on what that 1 is, and if their hand is just Doomcore Scholar plus Vivi, they basically win the game next turn. If it's not, though, we play on. Now I have a Steamcore Scholar. All right, all in, pass. Soul Cauldron can also clip errant Winter Night Stories that end up in the graveyard without the ability to harmonize them right away. Okay, they did not put their Mako under Soul Cauldron. That makes sense. It's a deck that cares about Delirium. It's a deck that wants to bank counters. Okay, if Quantum Riddler is what they got as well. All right, Multiversal Passage. This is a land I'm not playing. I have Starting Town instead. That's actually pretty exciting, because sometimes Starting Town is bad. Ooh, fear of missing out. This is one of those guys that can just kind of do the game on his own. I'm going to go Steamcore Scholar, though. Try to get these Makos to a spot where the opponent has to respect it. This just draws more cards. I'm not going to get Delirium this game into the Soul Cauldron, so who cares? Okay, I can discard a Stories, which leaves Floodmaw in my hand, which could reset their Soul Cauldron in the future. All right, I will discard Stories. Unfortunately, I did not draw a blue source to leave up Floodmaw this turn, but bouncing a Soul Cauldron after a Vivi gets exiled can be some stuff that breaks open what someone thought they were going to do in a turn. Okay, Floodmaw just to take some pressure off. And that's really good, because now my Soul Cauldron, that's 1 less main deck answer they have to that, if I can come up with it. And it means that they are not close enough to start comboing that they have to worry about a 2-2 attacking them. They are worried about bleeding out here, because if they were just going to untap and go off, who cares? But that is actually meaningful texture. They could just jam their Riddler from exile here. Yeah, okay. A 5/5 is pretty good. Tapping out pretty bold, though. 5/7, sorry. Abrade does not answer my problems. Oh, yes, it does. It kills their Soul Cauldron. Yeah, that's a pretty good card, actually. What am I even talking about? Bouncing Quantum Riddler feels bad. Might be necessary to do, though. I could also just leave it in play. not worry about it, bounce it when it's a problem. I could play Mako here and just pass. This thing does not have vigilance. I have 2 ways to shoot at a Soul Cauldron if I'm worried about it. All right, I'm just going to play Mako and pass, actually. Like, bouncing this Riddler and letting them warp it, then cast it again, long-term card advantage. I'm missing land drops over here, but I do have good protection for the things they have going on. The Props memory is a problem, though. All right, story time. Here we go. Do they find the Vivi? No. All right, discarded a Stories and a Soul Cauldron. Do they value storying again here over attacking? They probably should, because dumping a Vivi here is just so powerful. And if they find the Vivi, then they cast the rest of their hand off Quantum Riddler, and they're doing their thing. My tower. Okay, well, that's dead. That's not a fight I'm fighting. Okay, Riddler is 8-10 now. I can take 8. I think I actually have to. That's just not what this matchup's actually about. It could be about that in the near future, but it's not right now. Right now, if I bounce this, then they can't warp. I could abrade the Cauldron right now. I'm going to do that, actually. This is less mana efficient on my turn. This does play into Spell Pierce, which may or may not actually be in main decks. I hope it's not. Okay, they're exiling Mako to make Riddler bigger. I can still cover that with Floodmaw. Fear of missing out. I do have a fear of missing out on a blue source here. All right, I am gonna just into the Floodmaw now. I want to make sure it resolves before I make any other decisions this turn. Okay, fear of missing out. I think this is going to discard the other fear of missing out. That's just great for Delirium. And Winter Night Stories is still my high roll to win this game. Attack for 5. Looks like they have another Floodmaw. Sure. They bounced the smaller one. Interesting. Oh, they just have double Floodmaw. Okay, that makes sense. Never mind then. And that makes it much more likely that their Riddler will draw 2 next turn. Yep, this Riddler is going to be good for 2, and they're just hard casting it. Terrifying. They're 5 cards deeper into their deck than I am right now. Oh, even more. Yeah, the Stories from the graveyard. Tapping out for a turn in order to have an insanely huge Riddler makes a lot of sense. And probably a perfect hand. What I need to happen here is for them to discard a Vivi and me to rip Soul Cauldron, and then I go nuts. Discarding a Vivi here would be deranged, by the way. If you are studying this matchup. That is getting banned today. I discarded a Fear of Missing Out. That is 9-11. Never forget. Spire Bluff Canal, you love to see it on turn 7. Ugh. Their hand's got to be good at this point. My high roll is Winter Night Stories into, if I hit any blue source, I'm still gaming. If I hit Soul Cauldron plus Vivi, I might win. If I miss on blue source and Soul Cauldron and Vivi, then I just lose to this 9-power creature that's in play. I guess I'll just roll my dice. I'm not going to roll my dice. I am going to deal with the 9-power creature, develop, replay Mako, and give myself the best chance to combo off next turn. I'll probably cycle this other Mako in the end step as well. I think that one has outlived its welcome. They played a mountain. Only 6 cards left in hand. What could go wrong? They don't have any creatures in play right now, which means if I were to literally be defeated this turn, it would have to come off the back of a haste creature, which they do play. Or maybe. Tursa is in and out of lists. Steamcore, Scholar. The flying, the vigilance, and the looting, rather than rummaging, are all upsides to Steamcore Scholar. Alright, just full hog Quantum Riddler. 5 mana. Fear of missing out. Alright, here we go. That is 2 extra draws this turn so far, and they're definitely delirious. Oh, dumped a Winter Night Stories, so we're going to have a big story here. But if they're tapped out, that gives me a window to maybe do anything, compared to if they're even showing Torch the Tower into the Floodmaw, that completely changes what's going on. They put the counters on the smaller one, which makes it bigger, and they still have not storied, even though they could have. All right, come on. All right, halfway there. I need to Winter Night Stories into a Cauldron, and maybe we could do it. Oh my god. Well, folks, let's play this game. Winter Night Stories. This doesn't make blue, does it? Wait, it must. Yeah, I have a mountain. Okay, these both. All right, freak myself out there for a second. Winter Night Stories. I'll discard a creature card. Do I want to discard 2? Am I going to get into Quantum Riddler this turn? I could discard Vivi and Mountain here. Yeah, this game's not going to go that long, and if Quantum Riddler becomes part of it, that's important to me to get the extra card. Okay, so right now is their last chance to torch the tower. They didn't do it. Soul Cauldron. If they have Fear of, or if they have, what is the card I'm worried about? Into the Flood Maw and bounce my Cauldron right now, the party's over. They've cast 3 of them already. Do they have 4? All right, my ability resolved. How far are we going? Okay. I do have Delirium. Can I get Quantum Riddler into play and use Winter Night Stories? Yes. How far will that get me? If I Stories 3-4, I have to use Mako to do that, unfortunately. Tursa will not draw any cards on its own here. Okay, I think I'm going to go for Quantum Riddler to draw 2 cards right now. At minimum, it blocks. It blocks the flyer, once. I need to block it twice, though, unfortunately. Prof's Memory, that is big. Okay, so I go blue, blue, blue. Play Prof's Memory, which draws 1 card. And then I can Winter Night Stories off of the Mako. And then put a trillion counters on Quantum Riddler, second main. Discard a creature or 2 cards. Discarding Vivi is risky unless I'm going to play Soul Cauldron. If I play a second Cauldron exiling a different Vivi, then that does reset everything. And then I can play Tursa and FOMO. All right. I am going to discard 2 cards, Vivi and Island. Mako gets bigger. Declare combat, Moment of Truth. Do they have the last Flood Maw? I think they would have used it by now, but if they did somehow sandbag it to this point, targeting Quantum Riddler does break my combo turn. All right, I'm going to have 13 mana, second main. Oh, I should have put it on this attack. Shit. All right, well, all right, I fucked that up a little bit, but hopefully it's not game ending. Okay, 13 mana, red, red, blue, blue. Yeah, that was a huge punt, though. I should have put it on FOMO to get 2 triggers, and then I have way more mana. Not great. All good. Okay, second Cauldron time. Playing the Cauldron first reduces my hand size for Riddler. I will keep the new one, and then exile Vivi or Nita. Right, another mistake. I should have played the other Fear of Missing Out first, and now I would have had an extra creature with a +1 counter. Let's see how many mistakes I can make in a turn and still win the game. Discard River Pyre Verge, which draws 2. Mako gets bigger. Torch the Tower is not there yet. I can play Tursa, which can draw 3. Discard 1, draw 3. Yeah, huge fuck up. Huge fuck up. Not targeting that FOMO. They would have had to lose one of their creatures, and now I might lose to their combo back. Discard just Blybruff Canal. Hit another Vivi. I could just play Vivi now. Play Vivi. Does Torching the Tower do anything? It puts 1 counter on Vivi, I guess. Okay, I will torch their Fear of Missing Out. I'm not going to bargain. Just trying to cast a spell. And then I have a trillion more mana here. I'm just going to activate the Sauna and probably wake up my creature lands. Unlock Steaming Sauna. Activate creature land. That was such a spew. Yeah, I got lost in the sauce and could conceivably lose this game now that I'm otherwise crushing. All right, well, this is as good as it gets at this point. I draw 2 off of Riddler. It's another Prof's Memory. If they can send it back right now, they got me. I'm at 10. If they can bounce Riddler and put 2 counters on, 1 counter on it, they win. Yeah, if they were down Riddler or down FOMO, which would happen if I had attacked with my FOMO, then the game would be over. Okay, it's fine. We accept these L's in the service of learning how to play my deck. But that is a cool thing about this deck, is that although it is obviously complete BS, what's going on here, it's also kind of hard to do it all optimally, especially understanding the various matchups. They do have a Winter Night Stories in the graveyard, so if they can get anything going, I'm already dead. What costs 6? Do they have Meringue River Regent? Oh no, I'm dead. Yeah, this card is not in every build of the deck, and a lot of the lists I've seen are off it at this point. But it is going to beat me here. Yeah, they bounced my Cauldron and my Riddler, and now there's nothing I can do. They just flashback stories, attack with Quantum Riddler twice. Fear of missing out. Okay, that doesn't do it. They need a blue source here. Okay, they had it. Oh my god, they still haven't done it. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fear does it exactly. Okay, they had it 100 different ways here. I block fear of missing out, and then I die to the second combat, where if they didn't have either of these creatures, I win this game easily. So that was on me. Noted. Okay, the removal is not really what this matchup is about. It's about Soul Cauldron. And what you do on the play and draw is pretty different. There's also all sorts of subgames you can play. Like you could board out 3 or 4 of your VVs and just become Izzet Control and let them like play out a Soul Cauldron and leave it up in case you ever discard VV, but it's not even in your deck. There's a bunch of different ways you can approach this. I am approaching it right now from the direction that I'm on the play and I want to try to dunk on them. And I'll do my best to give the deck the respect it deserves. Okay, on the play in game 2, that's what happens when you lose. I will keep this. It has a Braid to interact with their combo. Vivi's not free to discard here, like it is in other matchups, but I like what's going on. Island, yeah, I'll hit land drops. Izzet Control is one of the modes this matchup may take. A null counters fear of missing out. I could just pass and make them not use their mana. There's also this high roll opportunity of I play FOMO, discard VV. Even if they have Soul Cauldron on 2, I can abrade it and just clean up my own mess. Good chance this just gets annulled, though. All right. Oh, okay. I took the high roll. Let's see if I'm punished. If they just play their own Cauldron here, it's fine. They might not even have all 5 Cauldrons in their deck anymore. Or all 7 Cauldrons, all 28 Cauldrons they play. Fear of missing out. Okay. But they are tapped out into my Vivi Cauldron turn, and just taking a risk on the play seems like it's going to get rewarded right now. Okay, Cauldron. I'm in Vivi Town. And I've got 4 mana right now. I could Winter Night Stories, see where we go, or I could just abrade their creature and play Quantum Riddler. I think I'm going to do that. Blue, blue, red. I'm going to riddle first, seeing in case anything changes. All right, well, that annul would have been nice to hold up, but I'm a mana short on doing that. So I will just take my giant burst of mana into turn 3 and see if they can catch up. Now the best they can do is kill my Soul Cauldron, which has already done a lot. And they're behind a buffed FOMO. Like the risk of them taking my VV with their Soul Cauldron is off. All right, Steam Core Scholar. They're just spinning wheels over there. Prof's Memory, I think, wins the game. A Mako is really good here. Really any creature, because they have a stacked graveyard over there as well. Any creature I can put a +1 counter on. Or I could just cast my Riddler and immediately have 5 mana. Yeah, okay, we're good. Meringue River Regent discarded. That is a flying creature. Good job. Okay. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play the Riddler. There it is. Exile the fear of missing out from my opponent's graveyard. That takes enchantment out of their Delirium spread. And then I can stories here. All right, yeah. Stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tell some stories. If I get Delirium here, we're in Insano mode. I'm not going to get Delirium here. I'll discard Starting Town and Soul Cauldron, though. Gets me closer to. Do I want to back up Soul Cauldron? I can't get Delirium this turn, so what am I high rolling for? I'll just discard 2 Starting Towns. Prof's Memory. Rip into the Flood Maw. Oh, the sorcery was... I actually could have had Delirium here. Alright, so I fucked up twice. This is why we test. Yeah, I forgot Winter Night Stories is, like, gonna resolve here. So, I also could have harmonized it. Yeah, if I harmonize it off Riddler... Oh, here's this land, too. That also gives me Delirium. Good job, Brian. Just hurling this mirror match in every direction. Shake it off. Hopefully it doesn't matter. Floodmaw and Annul cover most of the 2 things that could go wrong for 1 mana here. Not that I deserve this win, but I'm going to take it. The deck hard carrying me. Quantum Riddler, that is not something I care about. At 6 cards in hand, this is just a desperate YOLO to look for literally anything. Okay, Floodmaw, that is one of the YOLOs they were digging to. Riddler warps out. Okay, there's the Riddler on top of my deck that we knew was there. I'll play my land. Does this come with haste? It does not. All right, good to know. Sometimes new creature lands printed in the last few years come with haste, sometimes they don't. Gonna Fear of Missing Out, dumping Soul Cauldron. This is 1 extra draw. They had the Annul. Fun. Okay, I've been nullified. I'll just draw 85 cards another way. Draw Vivi here. Winter Night Stories. Can discard Vivi. I still have Soul Cauldron up to double his mana. Okay, cool. What a disaster, but still not close. Okay, on the draw, Vivi is a bit worse, and Torch is a bit better. Collapse their Makos and stuff. All right, let's go. Now I have to break serve. In the business, we call this a 3-0 if I win this match, just winning losing 1 to myself and then winning out. Okay, I like a Braid. I like having Cauldron. I'm keeping. Settling in for the slog on the draw here. A land go. I also have land go, but my land does stuff. Starting Town sucks. Put that in the graveyard. I'll have to think about Multiversal Passage before my event next week. That card does look more exciting than Starting Town. The issue is this deck with the Makos really wants red on turn 1, and then after that is almost mono blue in everything it does. Soul Cauldron, down and dirty. Might as well resolve it while you can. Get it while you're young, kids. I'll do the same. I could have Braid their Cauldron here, but then if they have another one, we're just right back in here. But Cauldron counteracts Cauldron. If they dump something in the graveyard, they can't exile it because then I'll exile it in response, and vice versa. But I have an Abrade and an Into the Floodmaw, where I can target their Cauldron to make them activate, then I activate over the top. I can break this parity, and there's not even anything in the graveyard to care about right now anyway. Multiversal Passage, there it is. It is an island. Yeah, it having the land type's big too, because that turns on Riverpire Verge. Oh shit, I'm in trouble. I don't know if this is a sideboard plan or a hybrid build that we just didn't see for 2 games, but them having talents and me not having talents is actually pretty serious. This is a thing that can win the game on its own. And I have the Floodmaw, so we'll be okay. I'm not going to exile a land in my graveyard because it doesn't matter, and I actually like having Delirium sometimes. Okay, interesting time here. Interesting time to be alive. I can go Floodmaw this, Abrade, Cauldron, and then I'm set up to operate on the next turn. I could Profs to Cantrip and ignore the Cauldron. With multiple looters, I'm kind of into it. All right, I'm going to flood the Otter right now. No thank you. And Abrade could hit Fear of Missing Out. All right, I'm just going to leave up Abrade, actually. Pass the turn. I could Abrade in the end step, or if they play a Fear of Missing Out or a Steam Core Scholar and try to make it big with Profs, I can pick that off in response. I'm actually really thinking about this Profs memory now. No, I'm going to invest in the Profs. I'll tap out for this. My Cauldron's still countering their Cauldron, but if they have Profs and I don't, and every one of their creatures is a must answer, but mine aren't, I don't like that sub-game. I don't like that they get the first Profs here, but with 2 looters in hand, I think I do want to be investing here. They should have used their Soul Cauldron in the end step. There's no creatures there. I can't put a creature there, and we do both care about Delirium. So that matters. All right, here's a loot, discarding Mountain. This is exactly the play I would have left up Abrade for. Oh, it's a little disappointing it happened there, but this is the gamble we took. To like try to keep up on board rather than try to keep their board empty. And I don't think they can discard an instant speed, so I will beat up their Delirium. Okie dokie. This is a spot where I can Steam Core, or I could Tursa, and Tursa has haste. That's kind of sweet. Okay, I am going to Tursa. I'm going to discard Soul Cauldron for sure, and then probably Mountain. This is the right size that they could abrade it, but they could abrade anything. And Tersa is better now while I have some bad cards in my hand where Steam Core Scholar can let it rip in the future where I don't know if my hand's good or bad. Discard Soul Cauldron and Mountain. Hit another abrade. We like that in the matchup. Moment of Truth. Am I getting abraded here? Tersa's not a great one to bounce with. Bloodmaw is getting paid every turn. If they get to 6 mana and ultimate the Storm Chaser's talent, that becomes an issue whenever you cast an instant or sorcery and make an otter with prowess. I don't really have a plan for that. Okay, right now is the moment they need to abrade. They don't have abrade. Might still have Floodmaw. Bash. I'm not blocking. Let's go. They're eating my into the Floodmaw in the end step. There's no reason to tap my Soul Cauldron. The worst thing I can do here is tap my Soul Cauldron on something that doesn't matter. Even if they discard a creature, if it's not Vivi, I'm not using Soul Cauldron. The game just ends so quickly if one of us blinks on that. All right, you've got a redundant Cauldron. The more Cauldrons we both discard makes it more likely that the Soul Cauldron that's in play will be the last one. If I point one of these abrades at it, then I can kind of go nuts. I'm pretty worried about Riddler here. They are at the critical mass. This is not Riddler, this is Stories. All right. Stories happens. This could get them to Delirium. Like if they discard enough cards that they end up with both Delirium and Vivi in the graveyard, this combat becomes challenging. Okay, they didn't get Delirium. They're going to have a big fear of missing out. But do they want a big one that can attack right now, or a small one that can attack now and a big one that can block? But blocking, when we both have props, is a fool's errand. Okay. 6-7 on defense. That will not be big enough to beat my 5-5. I've got Steam Core Scholar at minimum here to make a game out of it. Okay, end step, eat your Winternight Stories. That's a real card. What can we do here? A null. It's a little late to the party. Steam Core Scholar. Make it happen, big guy. Untapped land is great. I could discard just Stories. I mean, Stories is really good. And they do have a Soul Cauldron. I think I want to hold the Stories for the future, but that means I have to discard one of my precious abrades or a null. A braid I can discard by itself. Well, yeah, a null or a braid I can discard by itself, so I get to keep the land here regardless. All right, I'm going to discard one abrade. Hate to see it go. I will make my creature big enough to tangle. Do you want to take 7? It's up to you, opponent. There's no creatures in the graveyard. Island pass. I'm holding up a braid or a null, not both. I have a chump blocker. They have 9 damage in play. I'm at 17. Exiling my Soul Cauldron, you got it. I'm not worried about Delirium here. I'm not worried, but I do have a creature with Threshold. Okay, I've got more damage on board, more cards in hand, an evasive creature, a handful of answers. I just need for the needle not to be thread here. It's too late to tap out to activate Storm Chaser's talent. They just die if they do that. This is a turn where I would have to challenge Delirium pre-combat. If they get Delirium, including a Vivi, I would just abrade their Cauldron and then exile Vivi in response. Okay. Riddler, only good for 1 card, though. That means they have 2 cards in their hand that they can't just flush out. It might just be lands. It might be conditional removal spells. Another fear of missing out. This one will draw 2, unfortunately. I still believe in a braid more than anything else here because of the Cauldron battle we're in. 1 mana left. Beginning of combat. Okay, they do not have Delirium. If they put these stats on this FOMO, I'll abrade it, which will put creature, that will give them Delirium. So I'd have to make a move now. We are in combat, though. Wait, do I care about this? I have a flying creature. Their flying creature is going to disappear. Yeah, I don't care how big this blocker is. They don't know I have Winternight Stories to just kill them. But if I lose to Into the Floodmaw, if I do it this way. Okay, I'm going to deal 3 to their fear of missing out. And then I have to Agatha Soul Cauldron before combat. They'll probably Cauldron, though they shouldn't. So this is another place where this can break apart. If they Cauldron in response to get that +1/+1 value, that's not lethal, doesn't impact the game at all, then they're tapped out of Cauldron into my turn where I can dump a VV and just go off. So that was correct to let that go. That was actually just basically free for me to do. And now they have to answer 2 creatures. They are making the swing. That's spooky. All right, I'll take the damage. And not leaving back one of the FOMOs here is interesting. Okay, so they don't know I have Winter Night Stories, so they don't know this is lethal. But they will scoop as soon as I play it. Cool. All right. The old 3-0, despite deserving none of it. Winter Night Stories. I will discard. Doesn't matter. They're done. Okay. Yikes. That was sloppy as hell. But this league, 4-1, losing a tight one to Demir, where they won the die roll. And yeah, this deck is completely busted. I did not play optimally in some points. I played outright bad in round 4. Mostly didn't matter. There's still cool things to think about with the list, like what's your removal spread, the Flood Maws, the Abrades, what lands do you play, how many creature lands, do you play Multiversal Passage versus Starting Town? I've even played Conduit Pylon in this deck before, but that was a build without Mako. I don't think you can play a tapped colorless land in a Mako build, but do you want Makos? Really cool stuff. As far as broken decks that ruin a format go, this one is pretty interesting. There have definitely been worse and more toxic decks in Magic's history, but, you know, good night, sweet prince. It was fun to play with you while we had you. This has been Vivi Cauldron. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.